What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be getting into my Week 8 NFL Power Rankings. It's crazy that it's already that time. But anyway, let's get into it. Starting off the number 32 team in the league, in my opinion, stays the Houston Texans. They're going to be dropping down a spot. Yeah, with the other worst team winning this week. So, yeah, I mean, Houston, they just got thumped by the Raiders. Coming off their bye week, couldn't really compete against that in the Raiders in that game. Raiders just clearly were the better football team. And yeah, Davis Mills in this Texans program, it's just more and more reasons why this team's got to chase a quarterback in next year's draft. Let's move on to number 31, a team that's dropped down 4 spots and has had a very disappointing past couple games. That is going to be the Detroit Lions. I know they're going up against a very good Cowboys defense, but this offense for Detroit over the past 2 games, they've gotten really next to nothing going. Only 6 points in this game. They've had 6 points in total now through their past 2 games, which is not good for the Lions. Dan Campbell's squad, the defense still hasn't figured some things out. Dak Prescott was struggling earlier on in that game for the Cowboys, but he got some things going in that second half. And this Lions team, they just looked downright bad the past couple games, and they're going to have to come down for it. So it's just the same old Lions. Not really much improvement. They were looking pretty good to start out the year, but not so much now. All right, let's move on to number 30. A team with a big upset. The Carolina Panthers jumping up 2 spots out of the worst team in the league. Big win for Carolina. You love to see it for them. They won that game 21-3. If you are the Panthers, obviously you're trading away Christian McCaffrey. That's going to hurt for this offense, but this defense finally looked like the defense that I was anticipating through this whole year. They're finally able to really get some stops, get this run defense going a bit, and they were able to hold Tom Brady to really not too much at all. And then this offense stepped up. PJ Walker looked like a very solid, a very decent quarterback in that game against the Buccaneers. And that Buccaneers defense, I would assume, is a very solid defense. So that's saying a lot for the Panthers. So, yeah, big win. They're 2-5. Maybe, and you're only a game back on the NFC South right now. So maybe Carolina, if this week wasn't just a fluke, maybe they could keep moving up. All right, let's move on to number 29. We're going to have the Washington Commanders. I know they're staying at the same spot here, losing out on Carson Wentz. I think it's going to still make them a worse football team than better. But yeah, big win for the Commanders in this game. Taylor Heinicke looked much better in that second half against the Packers, and they were able to get the run game going a bit. This defense played much better against a struggling Packers team, and Washington snuck away with a win over Green Bay, which if you're a Commanders fan, you got to be happy with that. You're 3-4 right now. Not going to move them out of the bad tier quite yet. I still think that they're one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. But I do think that things are getting interesting down there in Washington. That is for sure. All right, let's move on to 28. Jumping up 2 spots is going to be the Chicago Bears. And I'm going to keep them in this tier. Originally, I had them in the decent tier. I'm going to keep them out of it just for now. I know the Commanders beat the Bears earlier, but I'm still going to bring the Bears up. Maybe it's a little bit too much recency bias, but they came out with a more impressive win, and Commanders injured Carson Wentz. So I'm going to put the Bears a little bit ahead. And by the way, the Commanders just barely came away with that win. But anyway, the Bears. Let's talk about the Bears now. Justin Fields looked way better against the Patriots. I was expecting the Patriots to run away with that game on Monday night. It didn't happen. The Bears looked like a very solid team. They ran the football a lot. Justin Fields looked much better. And then this defense. Matt Eberflus has been able to get everything out of this unit, the offense and the defense. This is not a very good, talented unit here in Chicago. But, yeah, they had a good game today. I mean, not today, on Monday against the Patriots. And you love to see some things clicking for Chicago. So that's the Bears. Let's move on to the decent tier. Starting with the number 27 team, we're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers jumping up a spot just because of the Lions dropping below them. Yeah, the Steelers got a big win this week. I mean, not a big win, sorry. A loss this week against the Miami Dolphins at 2 and the Dolphins are 2-5 right now. This is clearly a rebuild year in Pittsburgh, but my opinion still stands. Kenny Pickett did some questionable decision at the end there to throw a pick, but a lot of these interceptions from Pickett aren't really his fault. But yeah, I'm not mad at Pittsburgh. It's clearly a rebuild year here, and as long as you have Mike Tomlin in there, this team's going to stay competitive. So I really think not too much has changed in my opinion for the Steelers. Let's move on to number 26. We're going to have the Cleveland Browns staying at the same spot. Couldn't quite beat the Baltimore Ravens, and a 2-5 record now, have lost 4 straight. It's disappointing for Cleveland, that is for sure. You want to be in a position where you can be a solid playoff team with you could give Deshaun Watson a chance to dig yourself out of a hole, but I'm not sure that Deshaun Watson is going to be able to do that here. This defense has looked really bad, and this offense is just running the football with Nick Chubb. You obviously have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback, so there's going to be some limitations there. But yeah, Browns, tough loss. Not going to change my opinion. Staying at 26. Let's move on to number 25. We're going to have the Atlanta Falcons staying at the same spot. Tough loss to the Bengals, but the Bengals clearly were the better football team in that game. Yeah, I didn't move up Atlanta too far after beating the Niners. They got a lot of crazy plays in that game, a lot of turnovers from San Fran, so I think it was right to keep the Falcons down. And it proved this week. This defense still is not good. They got roasted by the Bengals in this game. And the offense is going to have its limitations here. I know Arthur Smith has a very good coaching game plan each week, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And those limitations showed in the Atlanta Falcons offense. But yeah, that is the Falcons at 3-4. They're obviously in contention for the playoffs right now. Tied for first place in their division. The Buccaneers do own the tiebreaker because they beat them. But yeah, the Falcons at 3-4 shouldn't be too mad with a disappointing loss. Let's move on to number 24. The Indianapolis Colts dropping down 7 spots after benching Matt Ryan. That's mainly what this is to do for Matt Ryan. Not a good game. I'm not mad with this decision, honestly, by the Colts. They're saying, I've been on this quarterback carousel for way too long. We need to, maybe let's see what Sam has and see if he's a solid piece. If not, we're going to suck, and we can get a top-tier pick in this next year's draft a franchise quarterback, and actually have a quarterback in the building for longer than just 1 year. That is the Colts' decision-making here, and I think it's honestly much better than what they're doing here. I do think this is still a very well-coached football team, so I think that they're going to be still somewhat competitive. I think the run game is going to be able to get going with Jonathan Taylor. We're going to have to see. But obviously without Matt Ryan, I know Matt Ryan struggled, but we saw him play good against the Jaguars. We do not know what Sam Heliger is going to look like. He could be very bad. He could be, decent, but I don't know. The Colts are just an interesting team right now. So going to be dropping down 7 spots after that loss. Let's move on to number 23. We're going to have the New Orleans Saints dropping down a spot and into this decent tier. Yeah, I mean, the Saints, it's rough for them. That is for sure. It is rough that they did lose that Cardinals game. 2 pick sixes in a row. They were winning earlier in that game until that happened. It's frustrating if you're a Saints fan. That is for dang sure. But yeah, I still think the Saints are still going to be a competitive football team. 2-5. You're only 1 game back on the South, the NFC South. So you're right in that mix. But I mean, yeah, I don't trust the Saints as a football team really. They got a lot of injuries to the receivers, so we're gonna have to see how the Saints look in the future. But right now, it's not looking good for New Orleans. Also, this defense has been very underwhelming to start out the year. Let's move on to number 22. We're going to have the Jacksonville Jaguars jumping up 2 spots. Disappointing loss. I thought that they were going to be able to come out with a win over the Giants. I know they're jumping up 2 spots, but that's just some random crap that just happens. Don't take too much stock into that. Mainly because the Saints and the Colts are dropping below them. But yeah, the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, I do think this team still got some things going a little bit more on the offensive side of the football. Defense kind of woke up a bit against the Giants, but when they needed it the most, they couldn't get the win. And that's really all that matters for the Jaguars. Just a 4th-game losing streak, not very good down there in Jacksonville. Let's move on to number 21 and into the in the hunt here. We're going to have the Arizona Cardinals. Going to be staying at the same spot here. Getting the win, keeps them in this race at 3-4 for the playoffs. But yeah, the Arizona Cardinals, the addition, getting back DeAndre Hopkins, that's a big addition for them. And clearly Kyler Murray in this offense just needs him because they are much better with him in. And you love to see it. Got 2 good pick sixes. I still don't trust this defense too much. But they have been more impressive this year, but good win on Thursday Night Football. That's really all I have to say about the Cardinals. Good job getting DeAndre Hopkins back, and Kyler Murray had a good game. Let's move on to number 20. We're going to have the Denver Broncos dropping down 2 spots. Brett Rippon played, and clearly this offense looked worse than it has. So yeah, the Broncos just still basically the same team over and over again. I think Nathaniel Hackett's just been a bad coach, and I think they're going to have to move on from him unless he can turn this around. Russell Wilson should be back for their next game, and I think this game kind of opened the eyes that this is not really all Russell Wilson's fault. This whole team, this whole offense just sucks right now. Let's be completely honest. Well, we're going to see. Maybe Russell Wilson has a breakout game. I'm still trusting this team. I had them so high early on in the year, so I got to keep, maybe hoping that they could turn things around, but just going to be dropping down 2 spots right there. Let's move on to number 19. We're going to have the New England Patriots drop. Oh, also the Broncos defense. Not a lot. They haven't got enough credit, but this defense is very good down there. Anyway, moving on to number 19. We're going to have the New England Patriots dropping down 5 spots. Very frustrating loss to the Chicago Bears. And an uncharacteristic Bill Belichick loss. Usually I would expect his team to be very much better on the defensive side of the ball, especially going up against Justin Fields and the Bears. That was crazy. This just shows how crazy the NFL is. New England, we're going to have to see what happens with Mac. I think Mac Jones is starting their next game. I'm not entirely sure. I think he should have just started the whole game. He's been out for a few games. You got to trust your quarterback. Can't give in to the crowd chanting, put in Bailey Zappi or whatever. I think that was kind of done by the Patriots. But yeah, a horrible week for them. They're going to have to switch some things around. We'll see if they can do it. All right, let's move on to number 18. We're going to have the Green Bay Packers dropping down 8 spots at 3-4. Obviously, this is a very disappointing week for Green Bay. This is a new low for the Packers, losing to the Commanders. I just don't even know how that happened, but yeah, Aaron Rodgers has got to be better. That is for sure. He's got to be better. Play calling got to be better. That is for sure. Defense got to be better. That is for sure. Run game got to be better. Everything's got to be better at Green Bay. I don't know what else to say. Everything's got to be better. They have so much talent, and it's got to all come together soon because this Green Bay Packers team was supposed to be a contender, a very good football team, but they're just not. And it's not looking good in Green Bay. And now they're going to play the Bills. And unless they figure some things out, they're going to get demolished. All right. Let's move on to number 17. A little bit more of a positive note. The New York Jets jumping up 2 spots. They did suffer a lot of injuries in this game. One of them include their Breece Hall. Yeah, Brees Hall, that's a tough injury, but they did get James Robinson for next to nothing from the Jaguars, so you like to see that if you're a Jets fan at least. But yeah, New York 5-2 got the job done against clearly a Broncos team that was struggling. Um, and without their starting quarterback, not going to put too much stock into that. A lot of teams are dropping below them, so taking advantage of that as well. And good win this week from New York. We're gonna have to see how they look this next week. Who do they play? Do believe they have a little bit of a test. Yeah, against New England, the Patriots. So we're gonna have to see how that game looks. All right, that is 17. That's the Jets. Let's move on to number 16, a surprising team. The Seattle Seahawks jumping up 7 spots. The Seahawks at 4-3 just beat the crap out of the Chargers. What a win! And now I can confidently say that Geno Smith is a legit quarterback. He has really turned things around in Seattle and made Russell Wilson for the Seahawks an afterthought. Geno, he's been more than a game manager, like some would say. He's hitting very difficult throws down the field. And then this run game for the Seahawks going to get going a bit. Kenneth Walker, a very good running back for Seattle. The O-line's playing very good. And then the rookies that they drafted, Tariq Woolen. Wow, what a start to his young career. 4 interceptions. And had another solid game against the Chargers. And this defense stepped it up against Los Angeles in this game. You love to see it for if you're a Seahawks fan, as I am. And the Seahawks, man, what a win this week. Now, this defense, another solid game, but can they keep this going? Can they keep it going? That is mainly my question, holding back this team from being a playoff team and even a legitimate contender. We're going to have to see how they look at against the Giants, which should be a very fun battle down there in Seattle. And I'm excited for that game. But wow, hats off to the Seahawks. Been a very impressive start to the year. Let's move on to number 15. We're going to have the Tennessee Titans jumping up a spot, taking care of business against the Colts, and really have put this AFC South really shown that they are the best team right now, and clearly showing they're probably going to win this by the end of the year. At 4-2, Derrick Henry, solid game. This defense was able to limit Matt Ryan to next to nothing in this game, and the Titans were just the better football team. And that's what you got to say for Tennessee. Coming off the bye week, very well-coached football team. You love to see it if you're a Tennessee fan, and they're going to stay at 15. I mean, you're going to jump up a spot. Let's move on to number 14. We're going to have the New York Giants going to be jumping up a spot, getting another win this week, barely against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know this is a 6-1 team, and I know a lot of people probably are thinking they should go up higher. I still am hesitant on New York. This team just, in all 6 of their wins, have trailed. Is that a little bit of luck? I would say a lot of these losses are luck. I mean, wins are luck. There's luck involved, definitely. But Brian Daboll, clearly, it's not made up at this point. This team finds ways to win. Even if, they're going to take advantage of the luck that they're getting, and they've won 6 games. Now they're really in a good position to make the postseason. I know they're in the hunt here because I do believe there still are better football teams in the NFC. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry, this team actually is in the playoff tier. That's my bad. But yeah, so this team is the 7th best team in the NFC, in my opinion, and it's been a very impressive start for New York. That is for dang sure. Hopefully they can keep it rolling. Got a big game against the Seahawks, which those 2 teams are neck and neck right now. Let's move on to number 13. The Los Angeles Chargers going to be dropping down 5 spots. Very disappointing loss to the Seahawks. Just a very inconsistent unit here with Brandon Staley. And now J.C. Jackson's out for, I think, the season. And it's just not very good down there in Los Angeles right now. But they still have a very solid quarterback. This defense has been very underwhelming. You add Khalil Mack, hasn't made too much of a difference for this defense. And the injuries are piling up for Los Angeles. But I still believe in this offense. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen comes back. Hopefully, he can have they're on a bye this week, so hopefully they can figure some things out then. Yeah, another disappointing week for Los Angeles. So they're going to have to dip quite a bit for that. All right, let's go into the playoffs tier. Done with that in the hunt tier. Starting out with the number 12 team, I do believe is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders at 2-4 just handled their business against the Texans. This team clearly has had some tough losses this year, and they're going to be staying at the same spot. Clearly, we're the better football team over Houston, so you really like to see that if you're a Raiders fan. Derek Carr got some things going. This offense really did good. That was a much-needed bye week for the Raiders, and they just handled their business against the worst team in the league, in my opinion. Let's move on to number 11. We're going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dropping down 5 spots at 3-4. Tampa Bay, man. This offense, horrible this game. That was a horrible performance from Tom Brady's unit. And there's only so much this defense can do. I mean, Carolina Panthers were able to get some points in that game against the Buccaneers defense, and it's been a very disappointing start for Tom Brady. Hopefully this Buccaneers team can turn things around, but I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt and keep them here at 11. Hopefully that's just the benefit of doubt that they're going to be able to turn things around. But we're going to have to see, man. Disappointing loss this week. That is for dang sure. Let's move on to number 10. Into the top 10. We got the Los Angeles Rams just jumping up a spot because of the Bucs dropping down at 3-3. Yeah, LA, good win. Good bye week. Hopefully they're going to be able to figure out those offensive woes and just jumping up a spot because of that, because of the Rams and the Chargers dropping down. All right, let's move on to number 9. We're going to have the Miami Dolphins jumping up 11 spots. I know it wasn't a very impressive win over the Steelers. Tua didn't look great in the second half, but I was judging the Dolphins with Bridgewater in there for the past week. So now that Tua's back, I still have faith in the Dolphins. They're going to get a big leap this week and are potentially contenders. We're going to have to see. I was expecting Tua to not be as sharp as we've seen him to start the year because of his injury. Haven't played in a couple weeks. So I was kind of expecting that for Miami, but we're able to handle their business. This defense is very good for the Dolphins. They obviously got all these playmakers down there. This is a very solid football team in Miami. Let's move on to number 8. We're going to have the Minnesota Vikings jumping up a spot at 5-1. The Vikings coming off their bye week. They're staying at 5-1. I'm surprised that Minnesota is that right now, but they are. So congratulations to the Vikings, but we're going to see. They have a very favorable schedule upcoming, but their schedule toughens up later on in the year. We're going to see if the Vikings can continue rolling. Moving on to number 7, we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens staying at the same spot. Weren't able to choke that lead in that previous game. So if you're a Ravens fan, you're happy about that. Just handled their business against a clearly worse football team in the Browns. Lamar Jackson had a good game. This defense still has a lot of concerns. But for Baltimore Ravens, my opinion on this team doesn't really change. So that is the playoff tier. Let's go on to the contender tier. Only 6 teams. This tier gets less and less as the weeks go on. I'm only really confident on like 4 of these teams to be contenders right now, to be honest. All right. Number 6, I still have faith in the 49ers. Going to be dropping down a spot, especially after getting Christian McCaffrey in that trade. This offense should look electric. But, man, that defense got absolutely obliterated against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it showed. The injuries piled up for the Niners. Fortunately, some of these injuries are getting back for San Francisco, so that's good. But, yeah, they just ran into a way better football team at the wrong time down there in San Francisco. They're going to have to figure some things out, and maybe they can keep it going. All right, let's move on to number 5. We're going to have the Dallas Cowboys jumping up 9 spots this time at 5-2. Big win for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott didn't look great to start up the game, but he was able to get some things going a little bit more. I was anticipating that. He didn't look good in week 1, and he was coming off an injury. But, against that Lions defense, a very favorable opponent to go up against in your return game, and he just picked them apart in that second half. This run game has been very impressive. This defense obviously is elite for Dallas, and jumping up 9 spots because I was a little bit concerned of how Prescott would look, but he proved to me that, at least for now, that he did good in that second half and was able to lead his team to the 5th win of the year. So a big win for Dallas. All right, moving on to number 4. We're going to have the Cincinnati Bengals going to be staying at the same spot from last week. Cincy got the win against the Falcons. Just were the better football team, and you love to see it if you're the Bengals. Joe Burrow, a big game for him. Was able to move that football down the field. Jamar Chase, I did see that Jamar Chase is out for the year, so that's going to change the Bengals potentially. Jamar Chase not out for the year, but he's going to miss some times, I think. Maybe I saw a wrong notification, but I think that's what happened. But yeah, this defense also had a good game against the Falcons. So if you're a Bengals fan, you really can't complain right now. You're number 4 in a very wild NFL this season. Let's move on to number 3. We're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles staying at the same spot at 6-0. Philly coming off the bye week. Good win. Goodbye for them. Improve their roster a bit from trades. But yeah, Philly not going to move really anywhere here from a bye. Let's move on to number 2. We're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs just absolutely obliterating the Niners in that game, who I do believe is on the same tier as the Chiefs. So that's saying a lot. Patrick Mahomes just completely looked amazing in that game. And that's what you like to see if you're a Chiefs fan, getting the job done in this game. And picking apart that Niners defense. Also, this Chiefs defense has looked very solid the past few weeks, so you love to see that as well. And then clearly the number 1 team staying there is the Buffalo Bills on their bye week. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully you all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your predictions. Your power rankings, sorry. And anyway, peace